Hi, everyone. I wanted to show off my lilacs. We get lilacs once a year. They bloom. They last about a week, maybe a week and a half, and then they're gone. And so I always fill up on lilacs ahead of time, or as soon as we get them. Okay, doke. Sorry I'm late, and I have no excuses. So I'm going. I got up our contest announcement on High Horology Lounge. So the winner wins a free watch. Yesterday, we talked a little about the golden ellipse. And the golden ratio is also called phi. And this is the formula for it. It's really not a very difficult one, but it's an irrational number like pi. This is like 1.618, and then it goes on for about a mile of other things. There's no end to it. But anyway, it was sort of it's something. I got a thing from Blaine today. I don't know, is Blaine here? Anyway, well, Blaine sent me this really cool thing with I forgot my coffee. I got my coffee sitting in the other room. Well, let me go get it. But let me say hi to everyone first. NS something, Dominic, Blake, Chris, Crappy, Abdul, Watch Habit. How's everybody? Okay, Geezer. Hi, Geezer. GMT Master. Hello, Bruce. Naushad. How are you? And let me see. Junior. Hi, Junior and Tom. How are you guys? Let's see. Blake. Okie doke. Tom. Probably, if I repeat it, I'm sorry. All right. Hi, Dominic. How are you? Okay. Got to get my coffee. Talk among yourselves. I'll be right back. Hello, Lee. Here's something to look at while I'm gone. I don't know if you can even. No, that doesn't work. Hang on. There we are. All set. Again, I apologize for this will be known forever as Discombobulated Tuesday. Hi, Clyde. How you doing? Oh boy. Okay. All right, let's see. Hey, Lee Blamford. Blamforth. There's two Lees. We have two Lees, more than one. Lee Todd and Lee Ballforth. We have a big day. Oh man. The hot water handle on my sink, my bathroom sink broke off, and so now I have to use cold water. Not my day. Okay, let's see. Um, who's that? Who are you talking about? I know something. Let's see. Anyone heard of the brand called Grupo Gamma? Makes Panerai lookalikes. I don't think I have. Um, hey, Flippin' Zippo. Um, we're great in a flyover state. Oh yeah, Lee, you're from Oklahoma too, aren't you? Never heard of them. Okay, so let's talk about that. Now you got the contest going. You can basically all we're trying to do is get a design for this. Now, if we end up with another, and it's any watch, any dial face that has a single hole here, a window here, and from 9 to 3 o'clock, you have minute indicators. Okay, that's all you need. And there are a lot of varieties, and it depends. Uh, the style of the case, I think, is going to be important. One of the things that might be a hint, I know Bruce likes uh, Breguet hands. Bruce, take a look at the Woughton Lannon hands. They have these great big moons on them, and they're sort of cool looking. And they're sort of like an enlarged version of a Breguet, but check them out. They're really cool. I like them. You might also, and everybody else too. Okay, where in Oklahoma, Lee? Um, is there a there? That's the question. Hi, Ian. Hey, Kevin. How you doing? Let's see. Okay. OKC. Now that's for those of you who are not geographically hip, that stands for Oklahoma City. At Shivish. Yeah. Goat Center. Oh man. We had a hailstorm yesterday. I've been waiting for the stores to open up so I can get my my deck covering to protect the deck over the summer. And I decided it needs 2 coats every year, one in the spring and then another one at the end of summer for the, because it's got to handle snow and everything. Yesterday we had a hailstorm, and so I went on my deck this morning, and it looked like there were these picks all over it. It looked like my whole deck job had been wiped out. So anyway, I don't know. Okie doke. So what else is going on? It snowed here also yesterday. Oh wow, Abdul, this is in the Black Forest. what 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 part is there a flyover zone in the UK? What, Wales? Oh man, it was a touch chilly this morning here in OKC. Should have turned my heater on. Well, you could do that still. Me, I lost the handle to my hot water. You're lucky. Oh, I want some Black Forest Gato. I don't know what that is. Let me get my coffee in me so I can think straight. All right. I got this really cool thing. I don't know if Blake would want me to post it or not. But I want to show you something that is I like the idea of using what we had talked about yesterday in terms of using the golden ratio in a design. Hang on, let me go see if I can print this out. Print. I've got a this color printer of mine. I can't get it working with my Mac. It just drives me crazy. They have these. They sell all of these really great computers, and then they have some junk software. I don't know. On the other hand, I have my little $100 Hewitt Packard laser printer, not an inkjet, but a real laser printer. That thing works like a champ. The first time I started it up, works fine. But then I got this fairly expensive Lexmark color laser printer, and I can't get the connection. So I'm gonna try a hardwire to it and see if that works. It's just terrible software on this stuff with brilliant engineering for the rest of it. Let me see if that came out yet. There it is. 1 second. Okay, this is an idea. The golden ratio is also related to what's called the Fibonacci sequence. Okay, and if you look in nature, you'll find it. Snail shells follow the Fibonacci, and here is where the dimensions of a watch. It was used with the dimensions of a watch, and I was thinking if there's some way that we could have that shape within our dial somehow, even the possibility, I suppose, of a rectangle dial, but I know most people don't like that. And to tell you the truth, it may be a little difficult with our movement, so we'll see. Okay. Hey, Raj, how you doing? Control Alt Delete. And okay. Whatever that sounds like a Windows user. Okay. Is that the JLC Reverso? No, it does look like it. It probably is. I wouldn't be surprised. I don't have not my reverso, but my wife's reverso is in the other room. But come to think of it, that does look a bit like a reverso. The golden ratio is used a great deal by designers. I mean, it's used all over the place. And it's probably the Fibonacci sequence is probably more easily put into this kind of thing, and then you have a number of boxes showing the relationship one to the other as the Fibonacci sequence extends. But me, I like the formula. Give me a formula any day, and it's a lot easier. When I used to program, one of the things I did, rather than trying to put down a number, I just put in the formula, and that thing would go on until the computer ran out of decimal points. And there's some huge number for developing something in the software, something I was trying to do. Anyway, okay, I think a lot of old designers say they use the golden ratio. Okay, yeah, that. I'll tell you, I should have had it here. Who is it? Michel Parmigiani. He says it a lot, but he does use it. And the thing, I guess the trick is to find out where it is. On my 1972, 72. On my Vacheron Constantin 1972, they make a big deal about the about the golden ratio used, and I finally found it. It was to the top of the width of the top of the case to the bottom of the glass on the inside. There's a perfect golden ratio there, and it's a, okay. Have you checked the printer manufacturer's website for drivers? Oh, you'll love this, Clive. Yeah, the printer company has them. Okay, so they say, well, you got to update your firmware. We're not even the firmware, so it can make a connection. All right, so I downloaded all the stuff, got their firmware out, and it says, oh, it doesn't work with your system. And it's because it's the most updated operating system that they have whenever there's an update in the system. And they didn't, it was sort of like lost in space. Whereas on my little Hewlett Packard laser printer, the ones they've been printing out this stuff with, not a problem. Just hook it up to the Wi-Fi and Bob's your uncle, and it's done. And why, a lot of times I think there's some differences between engineers who make these wonderful printers, and then the knotheads are either that or some engineer who's really not a programmer thinks he can whip up some code because he had, computer science 101 or something. I don't know. All I know is that it doesn't work. I've got an old PC around here somewhere, and God, it was, I forgot, I think Windows 10 or whatever they have. And maybe I'll dig that up or see if I can find a cable that I can plug into it. But right now it's just sort of like, what is this? This is crazy having to do all of that with a modern printer. And they have these guys, we're just going to do it for a PC. Fine, then say so. Say it on your box. This doesn't work on, a third of the computers in the world. Boom, something like that. But it's one of those things. So in the meantime, my faithful little Hewlett Packard there is pumping away. Hewlett Packard, there's so many things they do wrong, but this was one thing they did absolutely right. $100 for a laser printer? That blew my mind. The first one I bought was back in the 80s when they first came out, and they had a Mac in it, and it was $5,000, and it did 300 DPI. But they gave me a deal on it because I was an Apple developer. And I thought that was the greatest thing in the world. I mean, I used to write code in PostScript and just send it through the text port, But now, I mean, my God, how I go on. All right. Okay. Yeah, and that's something I'm familiar with all the tricks. That's one, it's the thing of it is though, I got to write a review for this printer, and they're not going to be happy with it. I mean, if you're going to send a printer for review to someone, you better send a pretty good one. All right, one that works with everything. And so it's like, come on, you guys. It really is. I wish it were as rational as simply trying to get the last nickel out of you. If they do that and it doesn't work, it's like suddenly you have a reputation that's not so good. If somebody asked me, should I buy this printer? I'd say, hell no. I wouldn't buy it on a bet, even though it would put out perfect color printed things. Yeah, it's crazy. It's just one of those things. I'm not here to gripe. We're here to solve stuff. Hi, Glenn. How you doing, man? Oh, yeah, Glenn. The more I looked at that, I'm glad I got Glenn sent me an email and asked about opium. So I thought, well, I better double check that, because it was some time ago. The more I looked at it, the more I thought, man, these guys, this is really something. So what's it called? The techno time movement that they used in there. They could have done a lot of things to the cover of the movement. About the only thing is that they gave it sort of a bubbled metal look on the top, and they did that intentionally because they thought it was cool looking. And um, they have it's really a very good little movement. It's got double barrels set up in serial. You know, there are a lot of cool things about that watch that I like. So, and they must have gotten a pretty decent deal on those Wooten, Lannon, and Collin cases, unless they got a million of them, because the price they have is for the whole watch is really very good. You know, in fact, if they go crazy on the Wooten, Lannon, and Callum prices, I'll buy an Ophium and kick out the stuff and use that for the case. Okay, they say that women have a home that causes them to forget the pain and trauma of childbirth. I think Mac owners have the same equivalent. Well, you know, I'll tell you though, most of the stuff with a Mac is just, I really like a lot better. And the thing about, both of them have stupid excuses, both Mac and Windows. Windows is better at it though. When something doesn't work, they'll say nothing's wrong with it. And then they'll give you an update and they say, okay, it's updated and we solved that problem. I don't like them at all. I don't like any of them. IBM's another one. For a while, IBM thought they could compete in the PC market, the personal computer market. And so they had this thing, and this was in Texas when I was an associate dean. And so they sent me to this place in Texas, and IBM was showing this new software they had that was supposed to do some really fantastic stuff. So I was watching it, and part of it was about this operating system that IBM had developed. And they had to use Windows because their own operating system wouldn't work. The whole business is crazy. It really is. Oh man. Haldeman added to my list of one-day watches. I don't blame you, Ian. Yeah, his stuff is really amazing. I think I'm going to stick with 32 gigabytes for my trash can. Okay. They also changed the bridges to expose more of the movement. Okay. Yeah, they did that too. Something that's absolutely right. They did a lot of stuff. You know, they had the thing about Ophium, the biggest thing is they're perfectly honest. And one of the reasons that they're perfectly honest, they use good stuff. I mean, is that like, you go to IWC and say, what's that IWC something movement? What's the base of that? Oh, it's it's IWC manufactured based of ETA. It could be a Myota for all I know. But on Ophium, I say, this is what we did. This is what we got. And boom, 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 boom. And then they show it to you. They even break down that the Wooten, Lannon, and Kalin case to show you how that thing goes together. Those guys are great. I mean, that's the kind of thing. And then they charge, what is it, under $2,000, $2,500 or something like that, between $2,500 and $3,000 for their watches. Great outfit. I really like them a lot. Okay, hey, Crappy. Life was better in the 50s. Depends. Okay. Thinking that worried about atomic attacks and things like that wasn't much fun. And if you were the wrong color, it was no fun at all. If you think the McCarthy era, you look cross-eyed at something. They put in the 50s a blackballed all of these directors and other people because they had political ideas at one time or another. It was awful. They always show that how everything was cool in the 50s. It wasn't. It was, unless you were a kid like I was, and it was then it was just like any other era. The kids don't know what they're doing. Didn't have the external drive bay to attach both SSD blades at the same time. Okay, let's see what's going on. Lots of promise ended up being used mostly just multi-time call systems. I use Linux. Watch habit. Linux is the operating system, I think, the dream operating system. If you have Linux and you like using Linux, I think that's the best operating system around. I love Linux. I'm not that good at it, but I like it. I used to use my, I had a PC, a portable PC, and I'd use it as a server and then work with my Mac on it. That was a great setup because I used the PC because it seemed like there was more software I could put on that thing. Okay. They already been had. I don't know, man. I think that so many ages view the age they grew up as the good old days. They look at the 70s. They look at to me, the good old days, I think, were the early 60s. They sort of got out of the McCarthyism era. Kennedy was president, and there was a lot of optimism that was going on. Of course, then there was the Bay of Pigs, and God knows, it almost blew up the world, but that's another story. Okay, enough politics and good old days. Oh yeah, well, let me talk about one good old day. Back in the gay 90s, as they were called, this is the 1890s when everything was sort of rosy. This is when you go to Disneyland, Main Street is based on that. Well, at the time, you could buy a morphine syringe in the Sears Roebuck catalog. You could buy most of the Dr. Feelgood's medicine show. They had one of three things in it. They either had alcohol, some opium based or morphine based, or cocaine. Those were the three things in these cure-alls. And after the Civil War, the big problem, the country was hooked. I mean, there were more druggies and so forth then than there were at the height in the 60s or today, if we come to think of it. But, these images and these romantic views of everything were simply manufactured because a lot of people can't stand change. And if anything changes, they go nuts. Maybe now, people say, oh, I remember the quarantine. We spent all our family time together and it was wonderful, and the air was clear. There wasn't any pollution. And, I thought, yeah, those are someone's going to do that. Trust me on that. 15 years, oh, we had a good time. We used to play Monopoly together at night and stuff. And the kids said, yeah, we didn't have to go to school. It was cool. Hey, Dominic, let's see. Misspelling. Hey, listen, the way I look at misspelling is this. I got most of them right. All right, let's see what's going on here. Buy a loan jeans in the 50s, be proud of your new watch. Simple. Is that what it was, Crappy? If you're in the watch business. The watch business in the United States then was, those were happy times. There's the American Watch Museum is not too far from where I live. And I went there and I was surprised how many big watch factories there were in this area. But Crappy, you're right about that. People don't realize that you could even have the wrong color skin, but the wrong name, and you'd still be screwed. That's true too. I know they picked on the name Clyde a whole lot. So, okay. Let's see. My parents during my childhood had a TV that got one channel. I might have a track mind. Yeah, we didn't have a TV till I was 12, I think. My sister was 14, and it was black and white and got 2 or 3 channels. But the thing is that I don't know. You hear these things. There's almost a religion to organize kids sports today, and you have to have a everything, and they got the coaches with his coach's shirt and all of this other stuff. And when I was a kid, we had an empty lot across the street. In the summer, we'd play baseball. In the winter, we'd play football. And in between, we'd play basketball in the neighbor's driveway. It's really funny. And it was like, it was great. And then they brought in Little League, and they had all of this, they had a Stroombonfure, I think, who was running the whole thing. It was not fun at all. But it was, the thing I think that kids lost, we could organize our own team. We all knew each other. So the teams were even, because you know, if you got Wilbur, the other team got the dog who would run out and grab the ball. But so I mean, a lot of that stuff I think is when my kids were growing up. God, I tell you, it was running back and forth between soccer games all the time, and then baseball, and I don't know. To me, it was over organized. And the thing of it was, they had these wonderful uh, sports fields, just great big lawn areas, and the kids never went out there and played on their own, and that was too bad. Whereas you can go down to Mexico or Latin America, and you can find an alley full of broken glass, and kids will be running up and down playing soccer. So it's, to me, something I think that all right. I wonder if I'm going crazy. Yes, you are, Kevin. I'm toying with the idea of getting a secondhand Roger Dubuis. Strange and unique. Oh, there's nothing crazy about that, Kevin. Nothing to me. I don't think there's anything crazy. One thing, though, take a look at the movement, because it's printed right on there. I think it's called a RD52. I think it's a Lamania based watch. It's not one that Roger Dubuis designed. Later on, he did. Back when I was growing up, the remote control was the youngest child. Yeah, the youngest kid. Hey, Joy, go change the channels. Yeah. Or the one who had to hold the rabbit ears just right. Yeah, that's right. I'm a dunker. It was, uh, I can bend it like Beckham. No, I can't. But I was a surfer. That was fun. I used to go surfing all the time. That was thing about surfing. I had to work after school, and so I couldn't go out for the sports. I wasn't that good anyway, but I really enjoyed surfing. That was fun. Tom asked, so bend it like Beckham. No, I got bent like Beckham. I'd take a wave, got me, and I'd go whoop over the falls, and Rogers Debris. Computer and video games is killing activity. Dominic, that may be true. I remember back in the '80s, the first time my oldest boy saw a video game, I was at some kind of show that they had, and I took him with me, and they had some new games coming out. And these are games like God, really old ones. What were some of the old ones? Mars Invaders Coming Down, and another one was the one where you shoot at different meteorites that are coming in, things like that. Real simple one. He came out of there with his eyes going like this, like he had never seen anything like that before. It was unbelievable. And now I've seen some of these new games, and they are crazy good. Hey, Tim, what are some of your favorite rectangular watches? I have yet to see a square watch that I'd want to own. I'm not so much into square watches. Probably if there's anything square that I like, it's the Tag Heuer Monaco. But there are a lot of rectangular watches that I like. I like this one. This is the Masterpiece Rectangular by Maurice Lacroix. I like the Patek Philippe 5124G. I like that one a lot. I like the, of course, the Prince, Mike Prince. There are a lot of them. Did you have a waterproof beret back then? No. Oh, I got it. This is what I used as a wetsuit. Okay, I had an old T-shirt that had blood on it from I don't know, I had probably a bloody nose or something like that, and was sort of didn't it was wrecked. I couldn't wear it otherwise, and so I took it and dipped it in wax, and I used that wax T-shirt as a wetsuit. It didn't work very well, but that was it. Um, Hi, Javier. Asteroids. That's it, Javier. That's the name of the game. I'll tell you something about asteroids. I took a course in some programming language. I forgot it was which one it was. It was one of the newer ones, and it was like we're gonna make we're gonna make video games. That's what we're gonna do. And so asteroids, and we made these old time video games, and it was a lot of fun. It was it was really real programming. And none of the stuff they have now for programming. A lot of it, if you're going to do programming on your for your phone or for the Apple Watch or something like that, or the Android, they have this like a lock set thing, and it's almost like programmed by the numbers or like paint by the numbers, and I don't know, a little constraining. But Asteroids was one of the games I made. Trying to remember what language it was. I was into learning as many different languages as I could, and that was one thing. Foreign languages I have terrible time with, but computer languages I can pick up in a day. Paddock 5500. Okay. I've got Carpal. Yeah, Pong. Pong was a lot of fun. That was another one we made. In this language. I can't remember the name of the language though. It's a new one too. I mean, a relatively new. Forgot what it was. Anyway, Paddock Gondolo versus Parmigiani Fleury Culpa Hebdo. I'll tell you, Clyde, I've been noticing the Hebdos have two things have happened to them. One, they become rare, and two, they become more expensive. That was one thing. I think it's sort of a discovered thing. Patek Gondolo, I love those watches. There are two watches I really like. I don't know of an 8-day Gondolo though. Anybody on that? Hey, Aram, beret did strap on under the chin. You bet, Aram. I didn't wear a hat. There was this one place I used to surf called Hammond's Reef, and it had all these sharp rocks, and the bottom of my feet just they were cut to dickens. And so I got these old tennis shoes and wore them so that when I got wiped out, which was frequent, I hit the bottom, I get my feet underneath it. Hey, Max. No, it wasn't C plus or C plus plus. It wasn't either one of those, Max. It was God, forgot the name of it. It was one of these languages that is like super. It was sort of coming in to be super popular. C plus and C plus plus is a pretty old language, and it wasn't Fortran or COBOL. Those are really old. Let me see. Very interesting. The Montesquieu. That's an interesting one. That is interesting. Okay, keep guessing on the programming languages. When I see it, I'll know it. Space Invaders, yeah, and Asteroids. Oh, we made Asteroids and Pong, and we made some other ones too. I forgot what it was. When I was a kid, Asteroids was the reason you bought Preparation H. Oh boy. There's an 8-day gondola. Oh, okay. What do you know? Which one it is, Kevin? It's called the PP 5200. Okay. I remember the Hebdo when Bill was first talking about it was around 3K used. Yeah. Now, man, I tell you, the prices have gone up. I think the Hebdo is more watched for less dosh. I think so too. No, it wasn't Java. It wasn't Scala. Scala, though. Let me tell you about Scala, Blaine. I learned Haskell, and there were some guys who had Scala ahead of me, ahead of the whole class. There were like 30,000 people, and it was one of these online ones through Delft University. I think about less than 1% of us finished it. There was like, and I became fascinated with it, but then I realized what it was not Scala, but Haskell was basically lambda calculus in a programming language. And so once you understand that, then it became a lot more sense. Hey, Tom, Donkey Kong, yeah. What's the difference between a software engineer and a programmer? I don't think there's any. Well, one sounds more pretentious than the other. How is that? Unix, Basic, Snowball, COBOL. Those are really old, Thomas. Basic is that old learning language from Dartmouth. I'm trying to think, it was one of the newer ones. I can't think of the name of it. Because what I did is that everyone was talking about it. They still are. They still use as one of the main languages. And I think it was adapted more for the internet. And so that's one of the reasons it was popular. And they're doing a lot of development with it. And so I thought, well, I'll learn what it is. And it turned out to be, there were certain things about it that I thought were pretty awkward. But anyway, it wasn't that. Yeah, that's it. Python. That was it, Abdul. It was Python. Yeah, Python was okay. I mean, it was like, I don't know what it was. There was something about it I didn't dislike. I just felt uncomfortable. What I ended up liking, what they did is that they totally did something to PHP, and so it became a very, I could start doing design patterns with PHP, and so I started doing a lot more with that. Python just had some things about it that for development and some other things that I wasn't crazy about, but it was fine. I mean, it was able to make all these games with it. MaxD. Unix equal easy to hack. Yeah. Max, I think the reason that Unix was easy to hack is that so many people who knew about development would use it. And so if they wanted to hack it, they knew how to do it. And it was, I think it's still, isn't Unix still open source? My sons give each other the business over that. Okay. Python is more of a scripting language with a lot of weirdly simplistic interpreted stuff. It may be, there's, I don't know. It's very popular. I know that. And, it's a lot more in a scripting language. That's one of the things I keep hearing, and it turns out no, people who can't even write and don't understand design patterns. If you mention design patterns to a typical programmer who thinks he knows what they are, they'll say model view controller. There are 30 different ones, and the only one they know is model view controller, and they don't know that very well, and they don't understand it. So the kind of languages, if you want to get down to the metal, is that get into I think Haskell goes there. So does Forth. Forth is a beautiful language that nobody uses because it's hard to program. You have to do everything backwards. But I don't know. Yeah, Python though is crazy popular. But like I said, it was one I just didn't take to in the same way. American. Did you ever dabble in CNC programming? No, I didn't. Have any of your friends in the Journe set been buying watches where Journe was involved? there's a group of people that I don't want to say much about that they do a lot of stuff with that. Okay, let me leave it at that. The only language American, Adobe ran with MVC and made it so incredibly inefficient. I don't know how they did that. I like the stuff that came out of the Gang of Four. That was where I spent most of my time. And then PHP was initially super scripting language, and but they kept updating and updating, and finally, I mean, what it is today wasn't what it was initially. It had nothing to do with the thing that what's his name started it off as, and it became a full-blown language. Every scripting language is interpreted. And then you hear the Java people, or you hear these guys at the C++ guys and so forth. I don't know. Some G code. Yeah. I tell you, here is the ultimate scripting language, I think. If you want to talk about a scripting language, I don't even know. It's more like almost writing macros is, what's it called? R. Right before I retired, I started writing a bunch of R. The thing that you can do with R is you can, what you can do with R is that it's used for doing stuff with databases. And so it's like a great data mining language, but it is so slow. It is like super slow. And I learned that, but one of the things that you can do is that you can upload modules that were written in C or C++ or one of those, and it can do some tricks. And this one thing I developed, and I haven't done anything with it, is there was some people wanted to be able to take a look at this particular plant and take a JPEG picture of the plant. And what I did with R was to have it look at the plant, the colors in the plant. And there was a certain time where the colors were such that it was optimum for harvesting. And the problem was they had to go through and, look at it. And so I wrote a program that they could just take a picture of it, have the program look at it, and take the JPEG picture, put it into the computer, and it was an interesting plant. I'll put it that way. And so I thought I'd better leave it alone for now. Oh wow, Blaine, that's interesting. I'm imagine us all being in an undergraduate classroom distracting the professor. Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't mean that's the last thing I want to do as a professor. I got distracted. I'm so easily distracted. When you retire, you can relax. You don't have to stay on point so much. Good for statistical analysis. Yeah, it's so slow though, Max, that I don't know. Yeah, I know. The thing is that I tell you, something. If you're interested in a language, check out Haskell. It is amazing. It really is. But it's like Forth. Suddenly you're down with the ones and the zeros. Hey, Rive, good to see you. How you doing, man? Nothing that complicated. I built scale models for a pastime. That's cool. I love scale models. Except mine didn't turn out too good. I wasn't a very good model builder. The best free video editing. I don't know what free is. I'll tell you. Let me tell you one that I've been using for some time, and it's called Adobe Premiere Elements. and it comes in a package. You get to keep it. You don't have to subscribe to something, and it comes with both Photoshop Elements and Premiere Elements. Premiere, Adobe Premiere is used to, make real movies and TV commercials and stuff. I've seen some stuff they've done with that. It's just incredible. It's very complex. I like simple. And so I went from Premiere to Premiere Elements. $100, you got both Premiere and Photoshop, and that's not much. Okay. It's not free though, but I don't know what free one. Fahrenheit. All of a sudden, learn to code became real for a lot of people who saw themselves above that. That's a positive. Yeah, I know, Fahrenheit. That's sort of, oh man, I tell you, there's I don't know. There were so many goofy things that have gone on with programming, and one of the bad things I think that a lot of these big companies have done is that they've gone into subscription. So you don't buy a program and then you get to program all you want. You got a part of their subscription, or they got these. It's like getting choking a chicken kind of environments that they want you to work in. Whereas I like the free range ones that you just open up a text file and start coding, and then compile it something. Okay, what is your first programming language? Cuneiform. What was it? Probably BASIC, I think. Well, actually, before that, it was something else called DataText. That's a long time ago, and it was more of something else. I was the VCR programmer in our house. Okay, the last thing the world needs is more people who learn to code. The world does not need more people who have no idea what they're doing. Yeah, that's, I don't know, there was somebody, I was reading this article by this professor at MIT, and somebody was talking about, oh, I was able to, save a nano bit or something like that. And he says, oh, the object-oriented programmers are, they're wasting all of this space and everything. And what she's pointed out with a good object-oriented programmer, it'd take 5 minutes for a programmer to reprogram it, to update it and change it. Whereas somebody who's got the thing optimized to the nth degree for a particular function or particular job, it would then take them, 3 months to reprogram it. And I think that's something that is, that's an important difference, I think, in that. One of the things, this stuff we're using now, about 20 years ago, maybe it was 21 years ago, when they first started, there was a company called Macromedia who came out with something called Media Streamer or something like that. And that was when they first started the streaming. And I was working on the beta on that, and they gave us we used to program, I'm trying to think what language they gave us. It may have been a version of ActionScript that they used to use in Flash, but I think it was a special version for doing video. And so a lot of this stuff I see. This is why I like YouTube so much. They give us the kind of not only do we get the software free that's behind all of the video, but we also get the amount of bandwidth to keep it going at a good rate. We had our stuff would go along like that for about 2 minutes before the whole thing would freeze up. But we used to make some incredible programs that we had. We had a news program I made, and we had reporters all over the world, and they were coming in and doing all of this stuff. And stuff was fun. Okay, should we explain to him what choking the chicken really means? No, Clyde, don't. Please don't. I never thought. Okay, I tell you, before we go any further, I better sign off. Take care, everybody. Be safe, and Oh, listen, think about design, okay? You win a free watch.